You know, before I saw this movie, I didn't know that like there's like a shorthand term for homosexual, which in this movie is they just shorten it all the way down to Mo. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. It's infinitely better than like the F bombs they keep dropping, that's for sure.
Hi, I'm Abby, and this is the F Show.
Hi, I'm Abby, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, 1 Minute Off. Ladies and gents, you know I am no stranger to funny bad movies. If you follow my channel, you know I actively enjoy some of them to the point of making half-hour-long video essays about them, so here we are again. Horror, admittedly, is one of my favorite funny bad movie genres, but I think I'm open-minded enough to admit that I believe that, you know, these transcend genre. The thing is, bad movies are not the same exact thing as, like, movies that haven't aged well, and movies that, you know, don't age well usually have some sort of, like, a pretty dated dialogue or plot lines that would probably not fly on television or film today. You know, you've got your Shallow Hals.
Right where?
Straight ahead, across the field.
Is she behind the rhino?
You've got, oh god, your Tiptoes.
I think you're gonna let me know that everyone in your family's a midget.
They're not midgets, Carol, they're dwarfs.
Those sort of movies, you know, get flack for, you know, not aging well, and they get canceled like 20 years after they come out. I'm also a firm believer, though, that this doesn't mean that they should never be watched ever. I think as long as you've got a good head on your shoulders, and viewer out there, I know you do, and you can, you know, recognize that these things are in fact dated and came out at a completely different point in the pop culture timeline, and you can recognize that difference, then there's no issue with watching these movies. I don't think you're problematic if you do. I think you're fine. And if you commentate on them on YouTube too and try to make some money off of them, that's fine too. It's only really if you like repeat any line Christina Ricci says in this movie then in real life to really real people, then you'll probably get in trouble. But, you know, the case for movies that didn't age well is not really the point of this whole video. If you really want to get deeper into that, you should go check out Olo Renati's video on why that mindset has actually sort of destroyed media literacy. All that being said, sometimes it's just like fun to let loose and watch one of these. Dance like no one's watching, you know? Watch like nobody's watching. And a few weeks ago, I saw one of the most egregiously dated movies I have ever seen in my entire life. Straight up offensive at times. And I knew I had to share it with you guys because it's astounding, frankly. I just sort of like found this movie on a VHS tape of all things in my partner's parents' house and just decided to watch it on a whim, and oh boy.
If there have to be gay people, at least it's nice there's enough of them to go around.
Don't get me wrong, the movie's hilarious. It's a good movie, but it's definitely like a movie that if it were like in the form of a Twitter account, it would have been canceled like 5 years ago. We thought this couldn't possibly have any good reviews, but Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 81%, and it just doesn't have as many negative reviews as I thought it might. So the thing is, despite this movie's egregiously homophobic dialogue, it's very entertaining. It's a little heartwarming, actually, too. And it's very unique in its storytelling technique, which I will get into. Like, if the movie were, like, them making jokes about anything other than AIDS the whole time, it'd be a perfect movie. And with that lovely intro, let's journey into the land of The Opposite of Sex. The Opposite of Sex is a black comedy movie directed by Don Roos that came out in 1998, the year of my birth, and stars Christina Ricci, Martin Donovan, and Phoebe from Friends, of all people. The cast is pretty stacked, actually. You've got Lyle Lovett, the singer who was married to Julia Roberts for a while, Johnny Galecki, the main guy from The Big Bang Theory. Side note, when we were watching this, I was like, that's the guy from The Big Bang Theory, and my partner was like, no, that's not him, and I was like, yes, it is, that's the guy, and he was like, that's not Sheldon. And we had this argument for a few minutes about like, who's the main guy on The Big Bang Theory. Neither of us have seen it. If you know, let me know down in the comments if it's Leonard or Bazinga? Let me know. I never watched it. When this movie came out, from my research, it actually seems like it was pretty well received. Like, actually, what am I saying? People love this movie. Christina Ricci was nominated for a Golden Globe that year, and Roger Ebert actually gave it like 3 out of 4 stars. He does this mainly because the unique thing about this movie is that Ricci, as the main character, narrates this voiceover as everything is happening. There's really like no other way to describe it besides like dialogue that walked so Jennifer's body could run.
My name is Dee Dee Truitt. I'm 16, and this is Crèvecoeur, Louisiana. Which is French, I think, for like heart.
The budget of the film was $5 million, and the box office brought in a pretty impressive number of $6.3 million. Christina Ricci was at the time really only known for playing Wednesday Addams, and this movie was one of her first like adult movies. Not adult movie. Get your head down, boy. One New York Times review did write that she basically plays Lolita's evil twin, so if that's any indication of what's to come, yeah, you better strap in. So pause this video now if you want to like go check it out before I talk about it, or unless you just want to hear me talk about it, let's kick it. The movie begins with a Connie Francis song, Looking for Love, a catchy little tune about looking for love. We open on a chaotic scene inside the house where Christina Ricci's Dee Dee is rushing around trying to get ready, and her mom is yelling her about her choice of outfit, which is a bit provocative, but they're going to her stepfather's funeral, so...
My mother was the kind of mother who always said she was her daughter's best friend. Whenever she did, I thought, great. Not only do I have a shitty mother, my best friend's a loser bitch.
Immediately, we get a taste of how much a badass bad girl she is when her mother steps up to the casket and Dee Dee does this.
What are you doing?
Les was a real ass. To get cancer of the ass was like poetic. Almost as good as cancer of the dick.
This is how the movie starts. You know, she's not like other girls, that's for sure. This is the basic setup for the rest of the plot. You know, she's fed up with being at her mom's house, so she runs away. She packs a gun in her suitcase, and showing off the fourth wall break she'll be doing the rest of the movie, she tells the audience that the gun is, like, important for later, duh.
Oh, this part where I take the gun is like, duh, important.
The fourth wall stuff is honestly done so well in this movie. It's like she delivers every line perfectly. She packs up the rest of her stuff and she walks out of the house to Randy waiting in the car, who's the boy she's running away with. The most important and really only detail that we get about Randy is that he only has one thing. No, he's got that, but he's only got one of those. So... I guess that's important too. She uses Randy to hitch a ride to her half-brother Bill's house, but she ditches him before, you know, he can know where she is, which is probably a smart move. Don't worry, he'll be back.
If you think I'm just plucky and scrappy and all I need is love, you're in over your head. I don't have a heart of gold and I don't grow one later, okay? There's other people a lot nicer coming up. We call them losers.
Dee Dee tells us she's only actually met Bill one time before, when she was a kid and her actual dad passed away, and that he's about 2 decades older than her, which in her book is like ancient. Side note, super easy to forget that Dee Dee's supposed to be 16 in this movie, like a child, and also Christina Ricci was only 17 when the movie came out, so it's just like another weird layer on top of all this. Bill has no idea that Dee Dee is coming. She tells the audience that Bill is a teacher at a high school and he also is gay. She does not use those terms to say that.
Homo. And a teacher. Which is kind of gross. I mean, the combo.
And she explains that even though he's just a teacher, he actually has a lot of money because his former partner Tom passed away from AIDS a few years ago.
Gross. But notice how pretty the urn is. That's typical gay.
Again, not really. She didn't say this in a super PC way. She knocks on the door and Ivan Sergey, aka Matt Mateo, shows up, all sweaty and panting like he's just run a few laps. It's revealed that this guy is actually Bill's current boyfriend. Now, again, I have to remind everyone, Dee Dee is 16 years old. This guy cannot be like under 25, right? Then we're finally introduced to Bill himself, who is in the boys' bathroom at his school for some reason. They see some unbecoming graffiti that some kid drew of him, and instead of like, you know, taking the kid to the principal's office or like cleaning it, or he just kind of corrects the kid's grammar.
There's a sentence here that's a fragment. What is it?
Every Tuesday after yearbook here.
Now, how would you fix that?
And so as you can tell from this clever exposition scene, Bill's a good guy. Dee Dee's a bad girl. Get it? Like, they're totally not gonna get along, right? God, they're like total opposites. Bill finally learns that Dee Dee's at his house, and he heads back where Matt is waiting for him. And she lies to Bill, and, you know, all about how it's been hard for her because her mom's been drinking and her stepfather died, and, you know, of course he takes her in because he's a good guy. He once again narrates about, like, how gay her brother is, using, like, every possible word except for gay that you can think of. Then we get Phoebe. I'm so, like... Lisa Kudrow, that's her name. This is one of my favorite roles I've ever seen her in before. Lucia, spelled Lucia, but pronounced that way because her sisters' names are Marcia and Trisha, is Bill's dead boyfriend's sister. Yes, Bill's dead boyfriend Tom's sister. She and Bill worked at the same school, and she's actually the one who introduced them in the first place. Lucia is not happy about Dee Dee's presence in Bill's house. They chat a little bit about, you know, Tom passing away, and in an incredibly polite way, Dee Dee asks Lucia the question of whether Tom gave it to Bill. It, of course, being AIDS.
That is none of your business.
Well, Actually, it is. I mean, I could drink out of the same cup or something accidentally if I stay for a while.
What do they teach you in Louisiana?
Dee Dee kind of reveals like where she's from in Louisiana. They're pretty uninformed about like how AIDS works or like how gay people work, I guess. And Lucia sort of gives her like a mini lesson on it, which I thought was cool. Dee Dee calls Matt a fairy and then keeps talking about how she doesn't understand gay people. But then she proceeds to constantly flirt with Matt for the next few days. Are you seeing where this is going yet? Because what you think is gonna happen is gonna happen. Unfortunately. She winds up spending a lot of time with Matt and she kind of discovers he's like a super himbo.
He was like a blind person, you know? They can't see, but they hear real well.
And because he's so silly and dumb, oh God, God, Dee Dee proceeds to convince Matt that maybe he's actually straight. As the New York Times review put it, she, less so it seduces him and more so just kind of like plops down next to him in a bathing suit and like bullies him into heterosexuality.
Yeah, I guess.
You've never slept with a girl,
Nope. Never came up.
so to speak, right?
And it works. Dee Dee and Matt, they start sleeping together secretly for a while in Bill's house. I don't really know how they kept it a secret. And this is the beginning, of Dee Dee bringing chaos into everyone's lives. I can't. What a plot. What a plot. Eventually, after weeks of this secret affair, Dee Dee tells Matt that she's late. And not for the bus. But she's pregnant. They end up fessing everything to Bill, obviously, because they kind of have to. And Matt says that he's sorry, but actually this whole event has helped him realize that he's actually bisexual. So that's a win for bi representation, right? That's cool. Lucia drops by to give her 2 cents.
Please, I went to a bar mitzvah once. That doesn't make me Jewish. Who says?
Lucia actually asked Dee Dee if she wants an abortion too, which is kind of surprising because it's like that era of, I didn't really think they would mention that kind of thing during this time. But again, this movie's progressive. But Dee Dee's not going to do that. She is going to keep the baby, who we currently assume is Matt's baby. Bill has been pretty silent throughout this whole reveal, and when prompted to speak, he just kind of goes upstairs to bed, even though it's daylight out still. Honestly, I don't really blame him. If I found out like my girlfriend was sleeping with my half-brother, I'd be pretty upset. And when Bill and Matt finally do talk, he tells him that he's got to take Dee Dee and they both got to get out of the house. Bill is pretty mopey for a while, obviously, and Dee Dee narrates his sadness. But he continues on with his life, even though now both Matt and Dee Dee are gone. Until trouble threatens. Have you ever seen the guy from The Big Bang Theory play a gay man?
If I save one kid from getting from having his totally until it looks like the Lincoln Tunnel and he can't stand up for 3 weeks, then maybe all of this is worth something.
Yes, we are introduced to Jason, who is incidentally also Matt's boyfriend. So I guess Matt was already cheating on Bill too, I guess. I don't know. Jason, who's much closer in age to Matt, asks Bill where Matt has been because he hasn't heard from him in a few days. And because of this, for some reason, threatens to tell the school that Bill came on to him when he was a student there if he doesn't reveal where Matt is, which is kind of dramatic if you ask me. But Tom's got this great retort, so it's okay.
For all I know, you killed him.
Then for all you know, I'm just getting started.
Then we cut to Lucia and Bill getting out of work later that day. And who pulls up in a cop car but the love interest for Lucia? Lyle Lovett. Carl the sheriff. Look at this guy. This guy could sing so well that he married Julia Roberts. Did I say that already? Carl is a friend of Bill's, but he's also there to inform him that Jason is gonna go through with his threats. Even though, Carl obviously doesn't believe him. Which, would be concerning if it was a real threat, but it's not, so I guess it doesn't matter right now. Whatever. That's a different conversation. Carl also informs them that, Jason has filed a missing persons report on Matt, and basically all hell is now gonna break loose for Bill. Lucia's also mad at Carl. He's very interested in her, but she doesn't really like him, and it's not really clear why yet, but we'll find out, don't worry. It's weird, trust me. So Bill's house is now swarming with reporters because I guess this is some sort of local huge drama. I don't know, because somehow I guess Jason's report on both the harassment and the missing persons thing both made it to the news. I don't know, maybe this is a really small town. It doesn't really matter though, because Bill does not really give a crap about any of it. He just ends up getting suspended with pay and just goes home and works on his garden. Martin Donovan's great in this too. He plays everything very straight which is ironic. We once again watch Carl try to flirt with Lucia in the grocery store, but she's like really mad at him right now because of Bill's reputation, and she seems to just like want to keep him at arm's length still. When she gets back to the house, Matt has finally called Bill back, and he's very excited about it. Matt is in LA, so Bill forms a plan to go to LA and I guess go find him. Lucia does not like this plan. She doesn't believe in this plan. She thinks that like, you know, if Matt's destined to come back, he'll come back, you know, they'll go their separate ways, and then one day he'll be on a plane next to Bill and they'll get back together or whatever. She believes in the destiny part of it. But Bill's also, you know, determined to bring back Matt, not just for that, but, you know, to get Jason to drop the charges, obviously. So they both head out to sunny California, where we get another montage of Bill and Lucia just, you know, doing stuff, hanging out, looking for Matt, and they're sitting in a restaurant, starting to lose hope, when Lucia discovers that the employee of the month at this restaurant they're sitting at is none other than Matt, of course. So Bill and Matt reunite while Lucia watches from afar, looking pretty sad, and they all agree to have dinner together tomorrow with Dee Dee present too. Lucia compares Bill to a lobster that's sitting in the pot, ecstatic that the water's getting toasty. The next night, Dee Dee and Matt walk into the restaurant, and it is immediately clear, not just to the audience, but especially to Lucia, that Dee Dee is a bit more pregnant than she claimed to be before.
About timing. This is about trimesters, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I want her to go back to school, too.
Lucia thinks she's about 5 months pregnant because she's had a lot of experience with teenage pregnant girls, which puts the conception date to way before she met young sweet Matt. Caught red-handed, Dee Dee lies and said it was her stepfather who did it, and then Lucia's like done. She immediately does not believe that either. However, it doesn't matter because Dee Dee's got a plan B for the situation. As they're all arguing, she busts out the urn, which holds Tom's ashes. Yes, Bill's dead partner. Now empty of said ashes. Bill and Lucia obviously freak out.
Shut up, Matt. I want my brother's ashes back, you heartless little bitch.
Oh yeah, that's me, Lucia, heartless. What body part are you missing?
And Dee Dee uses the missing ashes to like try and get more money out of them. She's such a bad girl. She's such a bad girl. But, you know, as in all the chaos, Matt and Dee Dee run out of the restaurant. Bill and Lucia follow them back to their apartment, which is weird. Like, they plan to stake out there for the night, and they fall asleep in the car, which I was confused by because, like, if they already know where the address is, you could just, like, go to your hotel and come back early in the morning, but they fall asleep in the car, I guess. In the morning, Matt leaves to go to his job, and the two witness Dee Dee kissing Randy. That's right, the guy with one ball.
My God, she's the human tabloid.
Bad girl. Then again, I can't really be too surprised. I mean, like, everyone's cheating on everybody in this movie, except for Bill, apparently. As they listen from outside, Matt actually comes home early and discovers Randy leaving out the window. Oh no. But it honestly doesn't really even faze Dee Dee that much. After, you know, they exchange a few words, she just kind of decides to take off again with Randy. But not before Randy calls Matt the F word.
You son of a bitch!
Randy, be Christ-like.
And Matt punches his lights out. They start fighting, and all of a sudden, Dee Dee pulls that gun that she told us she was gonna pull earlier and just like shoots it straight up in the air. And so now Matt is like held up essentially by gunpoint, so he gives him the money, he tries to walk out of the house, and the two just walk out of the house without really telling Matt where the ashes are. Then outside, Bill confronts Matt and he hugs him. Aww. They bring him back to the hotel where he showers, and things heat up a little bit when Bill says they have to go back to Indiana, but Matt says they have to help Dee Dee. After all, she's just a kid, and I mean, as Matt so, you know, pointedly points out, everyone has deserted her all her life, including the two of them talking right there. And Bill kind of understands this. Lucia storms off, though.
You know, I hope Tom Cruise is as straight as they come. I never thought he wasn't.
Lucia storms off, though, and once again somehow runs into Carl at the hotel, who's here in LA. He tells her that, you know, Jason is not dropping the charges, and that Bill's job actually might be in jeopardy for real. What is also revealed in this scene is the reason Lucia hates Carl so much. So, apparently, when Carl's wife was dying of cancer in the hospital, Carl started having an affair with her nurse. It's like, what the f***, Carl? But he ends up telling Lucia that apparently his wife didn't mind and, like, knew about the whole thing. And, like, she was okay with it, which I think is super weird, but I guess I can't speak to someone in that situation, so what do I know? And with a seemingly reluctant change of heart, Lucia decides to enlist Carl's help in finding Randy's license plate so they can track down Dee Dee. And where they are is in a random hotel somewhere, having, like, a pretty big fight. Dee Dee obviously is having a little bit of a change of heart at this point, and she wants to go home, or, you know, with Bill. But Randy won't let her.
You know, a lot of guys, man, they would have said that
Shucks, man, she took up with them homosexuals. Now she turned her back on righteousness.
Oh yeah, but blowing you in the backseat of your car every day after band, that was a stairway to heaven, right?
And as she steps into the bathroom, Randy pulls out... No, not his one ball. Dee Dee's gun. This part gets a little violent. Warning. Randy, let's just say, reveals the reason that Matt called him a violent stalker earlier. They proceed to fight. They're all like fighting all the way over to the bed, and then off screen, a single shot rings out. And then it slowly pans up to Dee Dee and Randy laying in the bed. And just as you think she's dead, maybe, she tells you that she's not.
What'd you think, I'd be the dead one? I'm the narrator, guys. Keep up.
It's Randy died. R.I.P. Randy. It's okay because Dee Dee gives us like a flash forward to like his autopsy where these two doctors are discussing like how he only would have had 5 months to live anyway. So I guess easy come, easy go. But now someone's dead, so it's escalating. Matt finally shows up to Dee Dee's hotel along with Lucia, Bill, and Carl. The whole gang is here. But Dee Dee just asks to talk to Matt alone.
See, you think you're being nice, but it's really just self-destructive. You got a death wish. So selfish. I have one too, but I direct it toward others.
And we don't hear anything from them for a little while, and Bill gets fed up, and so Bill kicks in the door of the hotel room to discover that, of course, Matt and Dee Dee have taken off, leaving Lucia and Bill to discover the still fresh body of Randy on the bed. So obviously they call the police, and obviously the police are like, you guys need to stay here while we figure this out. And then that night, Bill drops by Lucia's hotel room where she's washing her panties in the sink, which, been there, done that.
Oh, good. It's my delivery from 1-800-PITY.
And she like laments being a straight girl to a gay guy for a while, which is pretty hilarious. But actually the scene does morph into quite a good one where, Lucia basically insinuates that the reason Tom died is because of sex and that Bill only cares about Matt for sex. Bill pushes back with, some pretty intense dialogue. Like this was one of my favorite, scenes in the whole movie.
Tom didn't die because of sex.
Didn't he? I mean, PC crap aside, didn't sex kill Tom?
You might as well say I killed him.
You didn't give it to him.
No, but some other did. Isn't that what you think?
He leaves, which is the perfect timing for Carl to show up. This time, she does not push him away, and they, well,
We're not going inside. It's too gross.
And so Bill goes back to Indiana where, the scandal eventually more or less just kind of dies down, even though Matt has not come back to exonerate his name. Everyone kind of moves on, but he still does resign from his job. Then, one day, Jason, who has all but disappeared since these scandals have happened, he shows up at Bill's house without, a single sign of remorse for everything he's done. And he shows Bill this cassette tape recorded by Dee Dee, which she gave to him because of the whole crime thing. Shooting a guy. And then leaving the scene of the crime. Dee Dee tells Bill that if he gives her $10,000, she'll give him a letter from Jason saying that he lied about everything and clearing Bill's name entirely. But Bill does not, in fact, simply give Jason the money, and he proceeds to twist his nips, which, if you remember from earlier, are pierced, which hurts to just even say. Oh God, I can't think about that without shuddering. The scene is very older gay yelling at younger gay, and I kind of like it. It's really good.
Listen to me, you little grunge. I survived my family, my schoolyard, every Republican, every other Democrat, Anita Bryant, the Pope, Christian Coalition, not to mention the real son of a bitch of a virus, in case you haven't noticed. I've been busting my ass so you be able to do what you want with yours. So I don't just want your obedience right now, which I do want plenty of it, but I want your fucking gratitude right fucking now.
But Jason eventually does agree to take Bill to Dee Dee and Matt. Lucia runs into Jason at the convenience store where he's picking up snacks for the road, and she spots them driving away and she decides to pursue him. And this scene is only funny because she tells this random store worker to just call the school that she works at and tell them that she's sick. And I don't think those two characters have interacted yet. But whatever, maybe they know each other. Maybe it was not important. I'm being nitpicky, I am. Turns out that Matt and Dee Dee went all the way up to Canada for some reason. To a remote cabin in Canada. Jason informs Bill that once the baby is born, he and Matt would take it to Mexico and raise it there. And as Dee Dee said herself, she's not really the mommy type, so this all makes sense to her. Bill confronts Dee Dee finally, who is way too pregnant now to still be pregnant. Bill and Dee Dee talk it out a little bit, but she still is just asking him for money again. And somehow Lucia has managed to like follow them entirely to the cabin. She made it no problem. Matt and Bill are catching up about everything that's happened over the past few months, and Matt ends up telling him that he actually never slept with Jason while they were together. He only ever cheated with Dee Dee a little bit at the end there. Lucia's also, covertly listening to this entire conversation, and she hears Bill actually parrot Lucia's words from earlier to Matt saying that he only wanted Jason for sex. But the conversation, like it has a few times in this movie, turns very real. Matt calls Bill out, saying that he didn't like Matt for more than just his body, and Matt knows that. And Matt thinks that Bill felt the need to make their relationship feel like it was more than just about sex, but it wasn't really. And he kind of makes a good point of saying he's lamenting the fact that Bill says he loves Matt for his mind, but he knows that's not his best feature. So where does that leave him? Matt tells Bill that he's not Tom, and the fact that Tom died really sucks. But it doesn't mean that Bill can pretend to be a dude who only purely loves people for their insides. Matt kisses him and then just leaves him to contemplate his entire life. Then eventually Bill discovers Lucia eavesdropping outside, but she's very sad now. She's crying. And they also have a real talk about Matt and about their own relationship to each other. And then in perfect character, during their intimate and heartfelt little chat at the dinner table, Dee Dee stumbles into the room about to go into full-on labor.
Are you having contractions?
No, this is my sleepy face. The do you think?
Matt, what's going on?
They wind up driving Dee Dee to the hospital. While she's having a contraction, again, they get real, and she says, she knows that everything she's done is super low, and she doesn't want him to think that she's just this awful person who doesn't care about him. Because she's not at the end of the day. She tells him she knows where the ashes are, and that she will give them back.
Can I have a baby?
You're lucky me.
But then narrator Dee Dee kind of steps in to speed up the birth. And it's cool. It goes into a split screen of her in labor and then Lucia and Carl talking outside. Then one screen just gets pushed over and then we're just in the other scene. It's a great transition. I don't know why people don't use it more often. And they have a sweet little conversation about sex.
Say the point of sex isn't recreation or procreation or any of that stuff. Say it's concentration. Say it's supposed to focus your attention on the person you're sleeping with. Like biological highlighter.
Lucia apologizes to him for not pulling over when she saw him on the side of the road on the way to the hospital, which is weird because why would you stop? There's a baby being born. And she eventually reveals to him that she is in fact pregnant with his baby. Dee Dee eventually has the baby, and it's a boy. For a moment there, she starts to, bleed out, and it gets very serious. Bill comes out of the emergency room looking really worried. But of course, once again, it's a red herring. Dee Dee's not dead. She's narrating the movie, as she reminds us. However, Dee Dee also did sort of commit manslaughter at one point. I mean, I guess it was self-defense, so whatever. She does wind up serving some time in jail for leaving the scene of the crime. Bill keeps the baby, Matt goes traveling around the world, and when Dee Dee finally does get out of jail, she decides to let the baby just stay with Bill, who's actually now dating her parole officer. As she smokes a cigarette and walks down the street towards her next great adventure, wherever that is, her voiceover tells us that sex is exactly the opposite of what people should want.
It's not that I'm against sex. I mean, it was clever of God or evolution or whatever to hook the survival of the species to it, because we're gonna screw around no matter what. Sex always ends in kids or disease or relationships.
But the movie ends with all these vignettes of the different characters and relationships, Bill and the parole officer with the baby, and Lucia and Carl and all of them, and they're all, juxtaposing Dee Dee's words. And that's the end of the movie. So, kind of in its own twisted way, the movie shows, Dee Dee how little sense there are in stereotypes, right? The stereotypes she pushes the entire time. How variable love can actually be, right? It's sweet. She starts with these, tabloid assumptions, right, of all men are pigs and all gay men are dramatic victims, but she ends up disproving them one by one to herself through the people that she really ends up loving. And Christina Ricci really was the perfect choice for this, because she's basically just Wednesday, but she's delivering these one-liner quips, but she's adding those same one-liner quips to more mature content. But again, as a lot of the characters emphasize in this movie, she's just a child. She's 16. You can't truly hate her at the end of the day because her prefrontal cortex is not developed fully. She's not truly malicious. She's an internet troll, It's much more performative and trying to get a rise out of everybody rather than being truly evil. She's obviously grown by the end of the movie. I also think it's incredibly interesting that Don Roos himself is gay. It's so many of these lines are obviously incredibly offensive and homophobic, for current standards. And for standards then, honest, I'd argue. He's not really, represented in Dee Dee so much as in Bill, especially in the monologue he gives to Jason at the end of the movie. I think it kind of solidifies the message he's trying to get across. He's telling Jason about all the horrors of being gay in the previous decade so that young men like him could grow up to have the freedom to be pretentious assholes. If they so choose, you know? Like, everyone should have the freedom to choose, right? And yeah, I like the opposite of sex because it doesn't, like, let its characters off very easily. Like, no one gets let off the hook. But it also, like, never lets the audience forget, like, the world that they're reacting to. It's like a late 90s era where, you know, like, queer lives were really only just beginning to escape the shadow of AIDS and casual homophobia. I mean, there's still a lot of that. But in the end, you know, it's not so much that she's like reformed or really changed at all. It's that she's exposed at least to admitting that like love and gay people and community, all of that is like much bigger than the stunts she pulls on them, right? Like for all the homophobic dialogue in this movie, when that's not it's mostly Dee Dee, really. And I guess Lucia too as well. But for all of that, like the gay couples in this movie are portrayed as very normal and just like having, you know, any problems that straight people would have in relationships. And it's not like focused so much on the fact that they are gay. It's more focused on like the silly plot line that's happening with Dee Dee. And people like that and people hate that. Like there's so many arguments for and against this movie. But I think, you know, Roos did a good job turning this like screwball dark comedy plot into like a surprisingly pointed look, I guess, at like how people hurt each other and still choose to stick around in a general sense, even if they're gay. Especially if they're gay. But the writing, the acting, the pacing of the movie are all so like incredibly well put together. It's all exciting all the time. It's cringy. You will cringe to this movie. I promise. But it's cringy in the way that makes me wish we had more movies like this still. Obviously not the homophobic dialogue. I mean all the other parts of it. Yeah, but that is The Opposite of Sex. It's kind of like an obscure film, I think, at this point, but I'm sure people have heard of it. Thank you for watching if you've made it all the way through. Have you seen this movie? Have you seen any other Don Roos films? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Some people really do hate this movie, I have to say. And I get the point there too. Are there any other 90s movies with like similar themes to this you think I should watch? Let me know each and every one of your comments down below. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if you want to like and subscribe to me. I'm Abby, this is 1 Minute Off, and I'm gonna go ruin my gay half-brother's life. Bye.